بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. وبعد, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, on Saturday after Salat al-Maghrib we talk about the perfection of the ibadat, and we now talk about ahkamu al-Jana'iz, the rules of janazah, and everything connected to the funeral and how to deal with the situation, the crisis that we have it, which is the death, as Prophet ﷺ named it, and Allah Azza wa Jal named it, فَأَصَابَتْكُمْ مُصِيبَةُ الْمَوْتِ. It's a big crisis. We need to understand what Islam says about this matter, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jal for all the deceased to have the mercy and forgiveness, the Muslim deceased to have the mercy and forgiveness of Allah Azza wa Jal, and our brothers and sisters who die every day in Gaza to be accepted as martyrs. Allahumma ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. And we ask Allah to protect every Muslim in the world, and to protect the bloodshedding and stop this bloodshedding that happens in the Muslim world. Allahumma ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Some of the things we said that people after the death they need to do, we talked about dua, we talked about how to deal with the dead body. They close the eye and they cover him, and these stuff that we talked about last time, and to become, to do the procedure of al-janaza, the funeral, as quick as they can, as possible, so that they follow the order of the Prophet ﷺ when he said, do these procedure quickly as much as you can. أسرعوا بالجنازة. النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام أمرنا بالإسراع بالجنازة. بعض هذه الأمور كذلك. Some of these things that we need to do after the death. First thing or some of these things, we ask about his debt. Does he have a debt or not? Because it's really dangerous for the person if he dies and there is a debt on him and nobody knows. And that is why Allah said, if you have a debt in your dealings with people and everything, write down what you do, what you have on you, write down your wasiyah, your will. All of these things have it written, and there's someone should know where you put these things, where you put these papers. So the person dies, they know whom they should go so that they pay off the debt. Because as I said, it's really dangerous for everyone, even the martyr himself. يعني النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام يقول يغفر للشهيد كل شيء إلا الدين. The martyr, all of his sins are forgiven. in the أول قطرة من دمه, in the first drop of his blood. The only thing that it is not forgiven and it is delayed is the debt. So even the martyr, the debt is important for him. Subhanallah. And this does not mean that the martyr doesn't go to Jannah. No, there's a difference. يغفر له كل شيء إلا الدين. Yani Allah will give him great rewards. As we know in the hadith of للشهيد ست خصال, 6 characteristics for the martyr. One of them, that all of his sins will be forgiven. But Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith that his debt will not be forgiven unless it is paid off. So we have to pay it off. If he has no money, so we look for that, we make fundraising for him to pay off the debt. If we can find this, so we have to do our best, even if we can sell something of his property that he leaves behind, to pay off the debt. وَدَفْعُ الدَّيْنِ مُقَدَّمٌ عَلَى الْوَصِيَّةِ. To pay off the debt, we do it before fulfilling the will of the deceased. If he wrote a will that this person of the family who's not going to inherit, because لا وصية لوارث, there is no will for the person who's going to inherit. So I'm not going to make a will for my son. I make a will for example, for my cousin. I know that he's not going to inherit after me. A relative who's not going to inherit, an orphan who's not going to inherit, any organization, any people who are not my relatives, you can make a will, which does not skip the third of your property. So if you make this will and you have a debt, so when people come after death, first thing they do, they do not fulfill the will, but they pay off the debt first. And if that debt includes or involves all of the money and the property of the deceased, they must pay off the debt. Even if the inheritors, they're not gonna inherit anything, also you have to pay off the debt. So he has 2 sons, 2 kids, whatever, and they're gonna inherit from him, but there is a debt like $10,000, and all of his property is $10,000. So they must pay off the debt. Even no one is gonna inherit that person after his death. It is really important. And it is dangerous if we leave it this way. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam يقول إن نفس المؤمن معلقة بدينه حتى يقضى عنه. نفس المؤمن معلقة بدينه. His soul is suspended. Doesn't go, even if he's one of the people of Jannah, still suspended, withhold. Why? Because of his debt. If that debt is paid off, so inshallah he's released. And he gets the reward that Allah Azza wa Jal promised him. And one day Prophet ﷺ came to pray in Janazah, and he called people. Is there a debt on that man? So they said, yes, dinaran. There are 2 dinar on that man as a debt. Nabi ﷺ قال صلوا على صاحبكم. So anyone can pray on him. I'll not pray on him till you pay off the debt. So one of them is Abu Qatada, said, Ya Rasulullah, daynuhu alayh. I will pay off this debt. So Prophet ﷺ wanted to teach them the importance of paying off the debt. Even if he does not have money, he doesn't have any wealth, so we have to collect it from people. And this is one of the righteous deeds, that we collect money to help our brother in his grave. Just like the dua that you make it, that this dua will reach out this brother in the grave. Okay, so paying off the debt also is one of the good deeds that we need to think about it always. Okay, and it is not necessary to die to pay off his debt. If he is in debt and he's alive and he can pay off his debt, we need to help him. And it's one of masarif al-zakah, one of the sources of paying our zakah, al-ghurama, those people who are in debt. And there are so many people are in jail because of the debt. And so many people, they escape around the world because of their debts. You know, they don't talk to anybody, they don't answer their phones, they boycott everyone in the world because of their debts. So it is one of the sources of zakah, the resources that we pay our zakah in it, when we pay off the debts of those people who don't have to pay off their debts. If he's deceased, he's in need of it more and more, because as we said, his soul is suspended till this debt is paid off. So when Prophet ﷺ said that, Abu Qatada said, Ya Rasulullah, daynuhu alayh. So Prophet ﷺ جعل إذا لقي أبا قتادة يقول ما صنعت الديناران. Whenever he sees Abu Qatada walking around, he says, what happened to the 2 dinar? Did you pay them or not? He says, not yet, Ya Rasulullah. Till Abu Qatada said, Ya Rasulullah, إنما مات أمس. He just died yesterday. I will pay it. It's going to take a week, a month. It doesn't matter, Ya Rasulullah. It's not a big deal. فقال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام حين لقيه غدا من الغد, in the next day, ما فعل الديناران. What happened to the 2 dinar? Did you pay off that debt or not? Did you pay it or not? So حتى دفع أبو قتادة, when he paid it in the next 2 days, Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام قال الآن حين بردت عليه جلدته أو جلده. الآن يعني he gets the relief and the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. He was waiting the mercy of Allah just because that debt, how much? It was 2 dinar. So what if it's 10,000, 50,000, 100,000? What's going to happen? So my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, this is a message. You know, we don't know when are we going to die. When you buy something and you have this finance or the payments, whenever you go, write everything. You know, and if you can buy it in cash, just do that. So many people, they don't buy in cash just to collect more money or to save more money. And it doesn't, I don't know why would they do something like this. and we don't know where we're gonna meet with Allah Azza wa Jal. We need to meet with Allah Azza wa Jal, and nothing behind we become worried about. And this is one of the things. And imagine that if I don't have righteous offspring, may Allah protect us from this evil. They're not going to pay off the debt. They're not going to even make a sadaqah. The fridge that make people drink from it, a custom, something people drink from it, they're not going to make it. They're not going to print any booklets or write my name on something, make a dua for the brother. They're not going to make it. If they're not righteous ones, they're not going to even make the dua. I went in a janazah here in Bennett, and the daughter, she did not attend in the janazah, and the deceased one, she was her mother, and she only had a daughter, and this daughter is married from a non-believer, and the non-believer man, he came to the janazah and she didn't come. It was very controversial. Yes, for women, it is not preferable to go to the janazah over there, but this is her mom. This is her mom, and the only daughter, the only offspring member of the family is her, and her husband is kafir. And subhanAllah, I found it very controversial. And I called the sister, this is your mom. Why didn't you come? She said, I don't know. And then I talked to her about marrying from a kafir. And instead of talking about reminding her with hereafter and the grief that she has in her heart regarding her mother and so on, I talked about her, to her about, marrying from a kafir. This is not in Islam. You have to correct this and do this and do that. And you can correct it. And mashallah, so many people, they correct it, alhamdulillah. So this is something important we need to be aware of. There are things it is allowed and permissible to do it after the death of anyone, just like uncovering the face of the kafan for the face of the dead body. We can uncover it and you can kiss his head or his face. That would be okay for the men and women as well. Women, as long as she's my wife, as long as she's my daughter, she's my mother, she's one of my maharim, I can do that, and she can do that with me as well. So uncovering the face and kissing the head of the deceased, that would be something permissible. That happened. Prophet ﷺ, when he died, جاء Abu Bakr and he uncovered his face. وقال طبت حيا وميتا يا رسول الله أما الموتة التي كتبها الله عليك فقد ذقتها والله لن يكتب عليك موتتين بعد اليوم. ثم قبله في رأسه, قبل رأس النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. He kissed the head of Prophet Muhammad عليه الصلاة والسلام. And the same thing happened with Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, and that was in front of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. Abdullah ibn Haram al-Ansari, his father, he died in the battle of Uhud, and Jabir ibn Abdullah, he uncovered the face of his father and he kissed his father's face, and he was crying. وَكَانَ يَنْهَاهُ النَّاسِ, people, they say, stop that. وَلَا يَنْهَاهُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. The Prophet ﷺ did not stop him to do something like this. So it became sunnah taqririyah. Yani Prophet ﷺ admitted him to do something like this. So it means that it is allowed for the person to uncover the deceased and to kiss his head. One of the things that we must make when we have the crisis, when we have the death of anyone, to remember the test, that it's a test from Allah Azza wa Jal. He said in the Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. We will test you in different manners, different ways. Shortage of the food and the fear and shortage of money and the souls, the death that we have it every day, all of that, and the fruits, all of that are called tests, and these tests are from Allah Azza wa Jal, just to remember that there is a creator, Allah Azza wa Jal, and all of us, we will return to Him, and there is a day, it's called the Day of Judgment. We will be there, and He will ask us about everything. When we have this, we remember the hereafter and everything. The person, if he's doing something haram, he stops that haram thing and then he returns to Allah. And in this regard, we have to be patient and remember the reward that Allah Azza wa Jal gave to the patients and promised the patients will get. When Allah said, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. So give the glad tidings to those patient people who, when they have the crisis or the death or the test from Allah Azza wa Jal, any kind of test, the death, when they lose money, when they lose things in life, anything happens to them, they say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. If his car is broken, he says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Something happens to his house, that destroys the house, he says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Goes to the hospital, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Misses something, having a problem in the house, he says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Everything that he has, that he believes that's a test from Allah Azza wa Jal, everything comes from Allah. He says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And that makes it easy for him, because it means that we, all of us, we belong to Allah. And Allah owns everyone. وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. And we will return to Him. As long as you know this reality, it becomes easy for your heart. And then this is called istirja', that you make Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, say Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and you get that patience. But if I say Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, because it's just a word, and I deny the destiny of Allah and I do not accept it, just like it happens to so many people, and this is because of the lack of faith. May Allah give us the steadfastness. We don't know if the crisis happens, how do we react? That's why we always ask Allah to give us the strength and the power to be strong. When we have the crisis, when we have the tests, when anything comes to us, we say, Inna lillahi wa inna raji'un, Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qulubana ala dinik. If you see someone is shouting, doesn't accept and oppose the destiny of Allah and what Allah has ordained on him, do not say, look at that man, why he's doing this way, why he's reacting this way. No, say, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afiyah. Oh Allah, protect me from doing something like this. Because if we blame him today, we don't know. If it happens to us tomorrow, we don't know if we're going to be patient or not. We don't know at all. One of the Salaf, our predecessors, he know what Allah prepared for the person if his son dies. And Allah Azza wa Jal قال ما لعبد المؤمن عندي جزاء إذا قبضت صفيه فصبر إلا الجنة. If Allah takes the son, the daughter, the kid, and the person becomes patient and satisfied with Allah's destiny and what happened to him, and he's patient, Allah promised him that the only reward he gets, the only thing he gets is the Jannah directly. It is not something controversial or doubtful. He is going to Jannah. Allah guaranteed Jannah for that man, because it is hard, and at the same time he was patient. So one of the Salaf, he knows this, but he made a dua that he wished that his son dies, and he says I want to be patient to get the ajr of Allah. His son died. فكان بعد ذلك يبول دما وكانوا يحملونه مثل الفرخ. He was bleeding when he was urinating. It was like the chicken, or the deceased person. It was like the sick person. He can't walk because of his faladatu kabideh, the most beloved one to him in the world. His son is part of him. He came throughout him. Allah made him the reason for him to exist in this world, to come to this world. So he's part of him. It's part of his soul. So when he died, it was horrible for him. So that's why Hadiyu Nabi alayhi salatu, when you see something like this, Salillah al-afiyah. Oh Allah, give us the protection, the guidance, the guardianship. And when you keep asking Allah that, if it happens, Allah guides you to the best reaction. You see Umar, he can't believe that Prophet died, alayhi salatu wassalam. Umar can't believe that Prophet died, and he's taken his sword. Whoever says that Prophet died, I will kill him. It was very hard moment to Umar himself and to all Sahaba. وَأُقْعِدَ عُثْمَانَ مِثْلِ الْمَشْلُولِ. just like the handicapped, just like this. Can't talk, can't move, doesn't know what's going on. وجاء أبو بكر البطل, the hero, the first man in the ummah after Rasulullah. يعني imagine that Abu Bakr wasn't there. حفظ الله الأمة بأبي بكر. Allah saved this ummah because of Abu Bakr. على رسلك يا عمر, sit down. And Abu Bakr, that skinny man, that's يعني he's not like Umar the strong man, and Abu Bakr the skinny man he's saying stop Umar, sit down, and Umar said. ثم خطب أبو بكر الناس أيها الناس من كان يعبد محمدا فإن محمدا قد مات. Whoever worships prophet, so prophet died. ومن كان يعبد الله فإن الله حي لا يموت. And whoever worships Allah, Allah never dies. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he read the verse, وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ. Prophet Muhammad is a messenger, just like the messengers who came before him. أَفَإِن مَّاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ انقلبتم على أعقابكم. If he dies or if he is killed, are you gonna return from the faith and leave the religion because of that? وَمَن يَنْقَلِبَ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ فَلَن يَضُرَّ اللَّهَ شَيْئًا. Whoever does so, he never harms Allah or hurts Allah Azza wa Jalla, doesn't affect Allah's religion. Umar says, it's like the first time in my life I hear this verse. I imagine that I didn't hear this verse before. I didn't have or read this verse before, just because Abu Bakr read this verse. This is a thabat. This is a thabat, the steadfastness, and it comes from Allah Azza wa Jal. There are so many ahadith in this regard to having a sabr and the glad tidings that Allah Azza wa Jal give to all people who become patient. Is it, not sabr when women have that hidad, which is the feeling of lamentation and mourning during the death of her husband, when she stays على الحداد في هذا الأمر 4 أشهر و10, 4 months and 10 days? Is this again a sabr, that she doesn't have any kinds of adornment من الزينة وغير ذلك, and she stops putting anything on her body, having colored clothes or whatever, and she doesn't go out because of the death of her husband? Does this contradict with the patience? No, this does not contradict with the patience, because Prophet ﷺ and Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran, he ordered them to do that same thing. And this is only for their husbands. For anyone, they just could have this for only 3 days, and after that they're not gonna have this kind of sadness or lamentation, this kind of lamentation of hidad on the deceased, because this is against the sunnah. تقول زينب بنت أبي سلمة دخلت على أم حبيبة زوج النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. She entered the house of حبيبة, wife of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, فقالت أم حبيبة سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول لا يحل لامرأة تؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر أن تحد على ميت فوق 3. It is not allowed for any woman who believes in Allah Azza wa Jal and the last day, the day of judgment, and in the hereafter, to make hidad, the mourning on the deceased, any one of her family, more than 3 days. So after the 3 days, she can does whatever she wants. إلا على زوج, except for the husband. فإنها تحد عليه 4 أشهر و10, that she has this feeling of lamentation for 4 months and 10 days. And that reflects the relationship between the husband and wife. For the wife, your husband, the period of hidad is more than the father, and more than the mother, more than the siblings, more than the sons or the daughters, more than anyone in the world. The husband is the most important one in the world for the wife, and that is why Allah gave him a special rank in Sharia, a special time in Sharia. We need to understand this very well. Things we are not allowed to do after having this crisis. We are not allowed to do what's so-called niyaha. And niyaha is the action of showing the objection or opposing Allah's destiny, Allah's qadr, what happened, the death of that man or that woman, النياحة, the clear mourning that the person, what person says, what person does, and in a way you understand that he's not satisfied, he's not pleased with what Allah did. He doesn't accept this idea at all of the death of that person. This niyaha is something not allowed. And Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام قال في الحديث أربع في أمتي من أمر الجاهلية. There are 4 things. These 4 things are from the actions of the ignorant people, or the ignorant people before Islam, the pre-Islamic period, which is al-fakhru fil ahsab. When a person is proud of his family, and he is talking about my family is so and so, I'm from the tribe of so and so, my forefathers are so and so, and he's boastful when he's mentioning his family and his lineage. وَالطَّعْنُ فِي الْأَنْسَابِ, الطَّعْنُ فِي الْأَنْسَابِ, questioning the lineage, telling that person, you don't know your father, you don't know your mother, this is not your father, you're son of zina, son of fornication, and these sayings and these actions. This is one of the ignorant actions that we should avoid, and it is كبيرة من الكبائر. والاستسقاء بالنجوم, asking Allah's help throughout resorting to the stars and looking at the stars and doing these things, which is tanjim wa kihana, that it's done by the witchcraft or the black magician and so on. And an-niyaha, which is this mourning that it is against the sharia, in which the person says something, does something, in showing that he is rejecting Allah's destiny. And Prophet ﷺ said, اثنتان في الناس هما بهم كفر. 2 things, if people do it, they become ungrateful and they become closer to the disbelief, which are الطعن في النسب والنياحة على الميت. طعن في النسب, that I question the lineage of any person around me. This is not your father, this is not your mother, this is zina, this is fornication, you're coming from haram lineage, all of that. This is kind of disbelief, or bring person closer to the disbelief. Hadith is in Sahih Muslim. And an-niyahatu ala al-mayyit, when the person rejects Allah's destiny and says things, words, statements against Allah. Why, Ya Allah, you did this for me and that, and so on. Why me, not others, and so on. All of that is kind of niyaha, and this is not allowed. Even the crying, if it has some words that includes evil meanings, that shows that this is you shouldn't do that for me, Ya Allah. If it includes any of these meanings, Prophet ﷺ said that the person in his grave, he will get a punishment because of that thing, if he knows that his family is going to do that and he did not advise them to stop it. So if I know that my family is going to do this and that, because I saw in different situations they used to do that, and I love them to do that. For them, some families, if they don't do that, they didn't have any feeling of sadness regarding their deceased one. So if I know that, so I have to advise them, never do that after my death. If you do it, I'm innocent, I'm free from whatever you do. But if I know that they will do it, and I love that, and I didn't advise them, so they get the punishment. Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ الْمَيِّتَ لَيُعَذَّبُ بِبُكَاءِ أَهْلِهِ عَلَيْهِ. Al-mayyit yu'adhab, the deceased one, in his grave, he's tortured because of the cry and niyaha. العلماء هنا قالوا النياحة, البكاء هنا المراد به النياحة. That the Prophet meant any word that shows that this shouldn't be done, Ya Allah. I'm not satisfied with your destiny, Ya Allah. I reject whatever you do, Ya Allah. Why me? All of this is called the niyaha. So the person in his grave might be tortured because of that, because he knew that they do that, but he did not advise them to stop it. وفي هذا آثار كثيرة من ذلك. النعمان بن بشير يقول أغمي على عبد الله بن رواحة. عبد الله بن رواحة, another صحابي, he lost his conscience one day. فجعلت أخته عمرة تبكي. His sister, she cried, and loudly, she's crying loudly, which is something, a part of niyaha. تقول وجبلاه, oh my mountain, وكذا, oh my so and so, praising him, glorifying him. You were everything to me, and so on. تعدد عليه, she's saying all of that. فقال حين أفاق, he didn't die. She thought he died, but he didn't die. When he got his conscience back again, قال ما قلت شيئا إلا قيل لي كذلك فلما مات عبد الله بن رواحة لم تبكي عليه. So when he lost his conscience, he had a caller telling him, are you that one? She's saying so and so. Are you that one? Are you that one? It's like blaming him. What's going on? Why she's saying something like this? Till she had his conscience back again, and he told her, you shouldn't do that, because the more you did that, the more the caller is telling me, are you do that? Are you that person? And then when he died in reality and in real, so she did not do any of that, and he died at the life of the Prophet ﷺ في غزوة مؤتة. Inshallah, we continue with these prohibited things and action that we should avoid if we have this crisis or anyone dies, in order to avoid inshallah ta'ala. نسأل الله أن يغفر لنا وأن يرحمنا وأن يهدينا سواء السبيل. اللهم خذ بنا وصينا إليك أخذ الكرام عليك. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا ما علمتنا وارزقنا علما وعملا متقبلا. اللهم تب علينا لنتوب. اللهم اغفر الذنوب. اللهم اغفر لحينا وميتنا وشاهدنا وغائبنا وصغيرنا وكبيرنا وذكرنا وأنثانا. اللهم من أحييته منا فأحيه على الإيمان ومن توفيته فتوفه على الإسلام. اللهم انجي إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين وفي كل مكان يا رب العالمين. اللهم انجي إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين وأنجهم من الحصار ومن الكرب ومن التجويع ومن القتل ومن التدمير يا رب العالمين. وعليك بهؤلاء الأعداء فإنهم لا يعجزونك. اللهم عليك بهم فإنهم لا يعجزونك. اللهم انتقم منهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم انتقم منهم شر انتقام وخذهم فإنك يا ربي قوي عزيز. اللهم خذهم فإنك قوي عزيز. اللهم لا تأخذك بهم رأفة ولا رحمة. اللهم سلط عليهم أنفسهم ودمرهم تدميرا يا رب العالمين، ورد كيدهم في نحورهم، ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. اللهم احقن دماء المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم احقن دماء المسلمين في السودان. اللهم احفظ أعراضهم ونساءهم وذراريهم يا رب العالمين، واجمع صفهم. اللهم اجمع صف المسلمين في سوريا، وجنبهم الفتن الطائفية وغيرها ما ظهر منها وما بطن يا رب العالمين، واحفظهم من كيد أعدائهم ومن شرور أعدائهم، واحفظ بلاد المسلمين جميعا في كل مكان يا رب العالمين، واجعل الإسلام ظاهرا عاليا رافعا رايته في كل مكان. حكم فينا كتابك وسنة نبيك، وردنا إلى دينك مردا جميلا. وصل اللهم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. جزاكم الله خيرا.